Call me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to hear more from you.
Are you ready for your big break? The East African, understanding the region.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Uganda, welcome to Friday. Now, in preparation for this awesome day we're going to have, make sure that all negative attitudes are properly stashed away. And on behalf of some of you who may be victims of Kaunyemu, I tell you, I only expect sunshine throughout the weekend. But the rest of you, share with us what you're going to do, and we will make sure that we'll hook you up with the stories that are shaping the headlines this Friday, and also a quick synopsis of why Ugandans do not like reading or writing. That's all and more on today's edition of Morning at NTV. But for now, let's get the Friday rolling with the question of the day. Facebook is open, Twitter is open, SMS platform is also open at Morning at NTV Uganda, Morning at NTV, 20,000 people plus. Please go there and let us know what the answer to that question is. The first 5 respondents will each walk away with a mug from Morning at NTV. And of course, follow us on our individual handles at MB Gold 2, at Joel Senyonyat Kasiate, at Mebkeb, and feel free to tag at NTV Uganda. The forecast right now is definitely awesomeness, like I am feeling it right now, but the sun is rising, ladies and gentlemen, and just take a look at that and enjoy it while it lasts. It's coming out slowly. Mabel is standing by. You're obviously stuck in the studio and can't look at such beautiful things outside at the rooftop. But I also know that the weather forecast your end is not good because your friends in England are probably packing back home. How do you feel?
Brian, I don't think I heard you. Did you say England or Italy? So because I'm not sure of what you said, I don't think I'll answer that question. Is it Italy packing to go home or England? Well, I'm not sure. Well, thank you for joining us this Friday morning. What a beautiful day. I enjoyed seeing that sun. It just gives us hope. There's always hope. We can always rise up from whatever circumstances we have been in. Today is Friday the 20th of June, and thank you for watching us today. My name is Mebo Kebirunji, and we shall continue the show by looking at the headlines. Mulago Hospital has earmarked $18 million for new equipment. Civil society organizations want the 2014 budget revised, and Wafula Ogutu criticizes President Museveni for not giving a clear account of taxpayers' money.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Joining us, my name is Mabel Kebirunji. Mulago Hospital has earmarked $18 million for new medical equipment. The money is part of a $40 million loan from the Africa Development Bank. Solomon Seranja reports.
If you've been at the National Referral Hospital here in Mulago for a CT scan, you know that your patients has to be tested. And because the machine works on about 50 patients per day. And these are some of the people who have been waiting for hours for their turn. He has waited for close to an hour to access the computerized tomography scan. Many refer to it as the CT scan. This man, whose identity will remain disclosed, had an accident. The doctors suspect his skull and brain tissue could be damaged. Once all is set, The radiologist returns to the control room, which is protected against radioactive waves, to automate the system. In 40 seconds, the CT scan is done, and the 3D images of his head are sent to the computer system before they are printed out.
This orbit is distorted, distorted because there is a fracture there. This site is normal. There is a fracture here. As you can see, this site is normal.
He is barely out of the door before another patient is allowed in. The patients are many, and the medical personnel here work tirelessly to clear them all. This is an everyday story. Uganda has only 2 CT scans in public hospitals. This is the first, and the second is in Bara Hospital. The hospital has started the procurement process for a new CT scan.
We are going to procure imaging equipment, and in imaging equipment we are going for the highest models: CT scan, X-rays, ultrasound.
They have set aside $18 million for new sophisticated medical equipment.
We are going to buy a linear accelerator for treatment of cancers, very precise equipment. Under cancer treatment we have brachytherapy and many others, cancer treatment. We are going to buy surgical instruments worth about $890,000 US that are used for specialized operations, kidney transplant, heart surgeries, brain surgeries, name it.
The National Hospital is looking towards better service delivery. The hospital administration says some of the equipment is expected next month, while the CT scan is set for 2016. The current CT scan was procured in 2010 at 5 billion shillings. Its operation have since been affected by the unstable power supply.
Sometimes you get very high voltage, and these machines are designed to have a very smooth power supply. But because of that fluctuation, sometimes it affects our software.
For now, the hospital has to make do with the single scan, catering for the numerous patients by day.
Quite often, because the only one in the government hospital, except Marara, which is starting one soon, whenever we say we are closing for maintenance, the whole public is alarmed.
Meanwhile, the Ugandan National Bureau of Standards partnered with Mulago Hospital to calibrate all medical equipment as part of efforts to improve equipment efficiency at the hospital. These efforts come as Mulago Hospital embarks on the ISO certification as a world-class medical service center. Solomon Serwanja, NTV.
Society organizations for health under their White Ribbon Alliance want the 2014-15 budget revised before it can be passed by Parliament. They argue that in its current state, the budget does not cater for issues that directly affect the delivery of healthcare services.
When NTV visited Dakabera Health Center 3 in Soroti last year, the midwife showed me this lantern that is used at night because the facility did not have electricity then. But because of the prolonged delay in the disbursing of the primary health care fund, the patients were contributing to buy paraffin to keep the lanterns burning.
And it was really difficult. Even getting a kibriti, a matchbox, it is difficult.
At the same time, because of lack of funds, the health center could not afford to clear its surroundings and was in the midst of an overgrowth of grass and bushes. On this basis, civil society organizations on health want the 2014-2015 budget revised before Parliament passes it. They are also recommending a significant enhancement of primary health care funding by 41.2 billion shillings to cater for immunization, supervision, coordination, hygiene, inspection and health education.
Not very long ago, the media wrote that Mulago did not have water and all the deals, and with so many children dying and mothers dying. So what can we do now? We are not waiting for the government to wait for the post-2015 agenda. We are not waiting for the MDG deadline come August. We want the government to do something now, and we want more money.
In the budget, 450 billion shillings was announced for the enhancement of civil servants' salaries. Here, they want clarity on how much of this will go to health workers. 215 billion shillings is already ring-fenced by the raise in primary school teachers' pay. They are asking the Minister for Finance and the Parliament of Uganda to prioritize the remainder of 235 billion shillings towards training, recruiting and retaining frontline health workers.
We ask this government to give their priority attention to the health and well-being of the citizens of this country, because we are not going to develop unless we have a healthy workforce.
The civil society members are against the increase of taxes on medicines and health products and have demanded that Parliament should not approve the 2014-2015 budget unless it caters for the critical issues. Irene Namialo, NTV.
Has no surgery. Doctors say the new method now being tested on a pilot project in Mukono district is 3 times cheaper and less painful. In East Africa, prepex circumcision was first tested in neighboring Rwanda, and it is hoped more men will take advantage of it. Research shows that male medical circumcision reduces the possibility of HIV infection by over 60%. Sudiria Ruhanga with this report.
A projection by Alliance of Mayors and Municipal Leaders on HIV and AIDS in Africa expects that 4 million men should have been circumcised in Uganda by 2014 using different methods. The prepex method is one of those the leaders are promoting.
Yes.
Due to the pain and high cost, many men dread surgical circumcision methods.
For example, if the surgical method would be taking like 200,000, the device would take like 50,000.
In an effort to encourage more men to circumcise, medical experts are trying out a new circumcision method called prepex here in Mukono district under the Makerere University Walter Reed project. In prepex, instead of surgical equipment, all that is needed are just a few kits.
This is a prepex sizing plate that is used to measure the size or the diameter of the device that is supposed to be inserted on for circumcision to be successful. They vary in sizes between A and E. And of course, whoever has the size below A is supposed to be going for a surgery, as well as the person who has got beyond size E.
Majority of the people we attend to fit in the sizes we have. However, we have a few who are below and a few are above.
Okay, shall release this.
This demo shows that after getting the right measurement, this circular plastic is fitted around the foreskin of the penis, and then a rubber band is placed around it to keep it tight.
Of course, we don't put the ring which is very too tight, because we know that where we are putting the ring, that element of expansion and increasing in size and reducing may happen, but the ring we fix has adjustments. All we have caution that there is space.
After 7 days, the kit is removed from the foreskin and the circumcision is complete.
You go with the ring and you come back after 7 days so that we remove the dead skin.
The healing process takes about 6 weeks, but the person has to take precaution.
Even if we cut off the dead skin, there is still some bit of wound there, and we normally advise that you abstain from sex.
Research shows that male medical circumcision reduces the possibility of HIV infection by over 60%. Uganda's HIV and AIDS infection rate is slowly rising again and now stands at 8.7% in urban areas compared to 7% in rural areas.
Prevalence, we should be able to get that down maybe to 6.4, which we had about in 2005. That's what we are targeting.
It's not clear when the new prepex project will be rolled out to other parts of the country from the pilot in Mukono. Sudil Biarhanga, NTV.
Delivered by President Yoweri Museveni, criticizing him for not giving a clear account of taxpayers' money government spent last financial year. Addressing Parliament last evening, Ogutu, who is the Bukoli Central MP, said although the president put priority on agriculture, he did not allocate adequate money to the sector in the budget. But Bunyole East MP Emmanuel Dombo, a member of the ruling NRM party, says Ogutu fell short of his constitutional obligation in adequately responding to issues the president highlighted in his speech. Prime Minister Mbabazi will next week move a motion in the House to kickstart debate on the State of the Nation address.
In his State of the Nation address, he said that the priorities for him are going to be agriculture, industry, services, and ICT. But you don't see that in the budget. You don't see that in the budget framework paper. There is different things. You see security, army, and roads, and power, yes.
Leader of the opposition and his team, failure to acknowledge exactly the development that is happening. The president referred to the roads that have been constructed. Some of them go to his place. The president talked about enhanced security.
The president simply just talks whatever anything he likes. It is not tailored as stated in the Constitution. And we're asking him, why doesn't he confine himself to what the Constitution says and gives an accountability of exactly what he has done with our money? Now we are going to give him 15 trillion shillings. Surely we want next year to explain exactly what he did with the 15 trillion shillings.
In his beginning statement, he said the work of the opposition is to fight corruption, to ensure good governance, to ensure. That's not the work of the opposition. That is the work of Parliament.
You're still watching Morning at NTV this Friday, the last day of the week. We cross over to Simon, Joel and Brian to find out what's making news in the headlines. Good morning, Simon.
What are they going to ask me?
I am asking you what is making news in the headlines.
A very good morning indeed, Mabel. It's a wonderful Friday morning. It was a wonderful Friday morning until news started seeping in of the United States Global Corp, the conqueror of everyone, the master of everything, the know-it-all, imposed sanctions on Uganda over the anti-homosexuality bill. And I'm asking myself, what took them this long? Also waking up to the news that the Catholic Church has finally asked for an apology from this other wayward musician who dressed up like a Catholic prelate. These and many other stories are what we're going to be looking at in the press review coming up shortly. "20 days into the month of June, this is 2014, it's a Friday morning. Coming to you from the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel, it's the press review section of Morning at NTV with myself, Simon Kasiate. I'm joined by Brian Mulondo and Joel Sanyi. Good morning, dressed down colleagues.
Good morning. Good morning, good morning.
Very like good dancing morning.
You feel like dancing, you know? That is the new trending
what I'm talking about. Dancing a little bit. It's a Friday, you know. I don't know if there's music in the background, but...
Well, on the front page of the Daily Monitor, I'm seeing a picture of dance maestro, or the owner of the biggest dance hall in Kampala, Charlie Lubega of Governor, and the other one is what? Ange Mystique and Ange Noir. Well, this is a guy perhaps to appeal to this morning to allow you a complimentary ticket with a mate to go dancing tonight.
I don't go to Vibakolo.
They are called what? Chidula.
I think Vibakolo.
No, come on, this is a respectable dance hall that has got a tremendous ambience. You cannot say this about Governor, in our opinion.
What I
Well, we're waking up to news coming in from the Daily Monitor front page saying that the opposition is not appealing or demanding from government to get our boys and boots off the ground in Sudan and Somalia. The reasons are well articulated here, thanks to the leader of opposition, Mr. Wafula Ogutu, who says, well, these are senseless wars. Senseless wars. Your neighbor's house is in fire. You should just get yourself into your house and don't even bother to step out and help, even when you know that they're extremely weak, because it's a senseless state of arson taking place at your neighbor's house. That is Wafula Ogutu and the opposition's views.
I think it's a catch-24 situation because our involvement in Somalia and Sudan, and especially Sudan has been very contentious because, you know, they told us lies when they were getting their in, you know. Then all of a sudden they began to shift goalposts. And in regards to...
What lie did they tell us?
They said, look, for us, we are going there to be peacekeepers. Then all of a sudden, they realized their role is totally different. It is to buttress Salva Kiir's government. And now they're saying, you see, I had to go and protect this government and that kind of thing.
Yeah, because that government, it was duly elected.
And then we were also told that
we cannot allow
Sudan is going to take care of all the expenses. Now it turns out it's a different situation altogether. What happens if Machar becomes president, for example?
Then we,
of course,
you see, governments
then
deal
we
with
change,
whoever.
We change our allegiance to Machar.
It is like viewers. When you're here, they deal with you and they like you or hate you.
Tomorrow, when it is somebody Tito else, who takes over,
absolutely, then they like him and move on. I mean, I tell you, I have been in that situation before.
You have a small bow tie today. What is wrong with it?
I know it is maybe the size of the neck today.
but look, without a doubt, I think we need to pacify the region because we are affected. I mean, we've done lots of business with Sudan.
Does that say something about the foreign relations bankruptcy policy that the opposition seems to be very much pregnant?
No, their concerns are legitimate, without a doubt, yeah? Even as we pacify these areas, I think we need to have it very well structured. What's the agreement like? When do we withdraw, for example? Do you know about that? It's a tricky situation.
You know, as well,
I'm sure the United States, they know it all. The guys who can...
they actually know it all?
Well, so they claim the pacifiers of the entire world. I know...
Those are many times bullies.
They answered that question when they were entering into Iraq. I'm now told they are sending 300 military advisors who may have... Listen to their wording. We are sending... This Obama. We are sending 300 military advisors to Iraq, and they may have some bit of, some kind of combat interaction.
But Simon, will it be fair for us, especially for example, people of Somalia, who have done tremendously well, to I think we have.
Oh,
their
Joel.
president is always here. Joel.
If it wasn't for the African Union mission there, and which has for the most part been constituted by Uganda,
by UPDF,
I can tell you, we have a failed state in Somalia. It would have been worse than a failed
state. President,
and I'm saying it would have been worse.
That's why when you say we have done tremendously well.
We've done well.
People who are watching you this morning and have been to Mogadishu and are doing some work in there, they're looking at you
fairly good job,
but watching Hillary Clinton yesterday, she's written a book and she's talking about the hard decisions she had to make, and she said America has to be everywhere. For as long as our national interests are concerned, we will make sure we are there. And it kind of relates to Uganda in the African sense. We have to be where
our interests
are, period.
Okay, I hope we do it good. And
South Sudan is one of those. And for South Sudan, even if we didn't say terrorists are coming from South Sudan, many of Ugandans trade in South Sudan.
But I think our pivotal role now should be, can we push for talks? Because you see, as long as these two gentlemen keep fighting,
but this is what
Salva Kiir is very weak compared to Machar, whether we like it or not. So we can go and
we have not measured that. In fact, we can see. Otherwise, if Machar was strong, he would be president today.
No, well, we went there in and maybe that's. But you see, at the end of the day, if it is an issue of we are going to fight and winner takes it all, we are going to fight on behalf of Salva Kiir, people are going to die. That region has suffered a great deal. So we should push these guys.
There's no fighting and claiming someone as that's part of the collateral damage. Well, in the Daily Monitor again, we're seeing on the front page a headline picture of this character calling himself a doctor that doesn't even deserve the paper on which the name is written on. Some musician.
You used to have him on speed dial. What happened?
No, come on.
Dr. Hilderman, you say?
Well, that character who shows up at a music launch, whatever it is, or a noise launch, dressed up like the distinguished Catholic prelates that are supposed to be. I have, for the most part, been calling on this very show, saying that such characters need to be put in their rightful place. I am glad that the Catholic Church has finally, after a long time and serious pontification, decided to demand an apology from this guy. Just an apology. If I were in the hierarchy of the Catholic Church, as you want to claim to be an honorary Monsignor, clearly, this man, I would deny him every sacrament, including the anointing of the
And then what? He would go to hell because
that's what America does. Your role models, they put sanctions on people. I mean, I would sanction. Well, I don't know what religion he professes. And in fact, for him not to be a Catholic, that is even more reason why we should call for a fatwa.
When Chameleon dresses up as an astronaut, why don't you castigate him?
Because I am not a member of NASA. I'm not an astronaut. Me, I don't even know what.
When they put on your gallant men's uniforms, UPDF.
Yes. I'm not a member of the Uganda People's Defense Force. But I have always been accosting waiters and waitresses who put on bow ties the wrong way.
Because no, actually, it is you who looks up to them. You know, because these guys have always put on bow ties for as long as you can remember. Then all of a sudden you want to be like them.
Yeah, but you see, they should dress it decently and neatly. Now, this character here would dress up like Catholic priest and then start simulating giving out of sacraments. I think that the apology should come in very soon. Or else, I'm adding him the list of things. I will never listen to anything coming in from this character. If it plays on my radio, I switch it off or throw it out of the window.
Interesting. UBC, which is airing the World Cup matches, it is on the spot over the World Cup.
This is the morning of sanctions.
Because
you don't feel good about something, throw sanctions at them.
And there are some people going to throw sanctions on just as we dig deeper, you know. Wait when we get there. There's a commissioner who is he's an assistant commissioner, but he's retiring, and he's opposed to the pay rise of teachers. He's saying, look, instead of increasing these guys' pay, hire more science teachers. According to him, that makes
that's when we need also to put sanctions on him.
Wow.
There's an interesting picture of the day. I do not know whether our producer can put it on your screen for you to see what the role of mosquito nets has been for some people. I see here a wonderful lady somewhere on the street, somewhere in this country, draped up in a blue mosquito net. This is what she was using to shield herself from the biting cold. Have now mosquito nets become some kind of cushioning?
Mosquitoes were already, you know, all over the place at the time, so she had to wear her mosquito net.
To guard.
I don't know. Talking about sanctions now, the Toro Premier says Ofono, Tamale Mirundi, liability to Museveni.
Who are those?
I stamp this without a doubt. I think these two gentlemen, I mean, you listen to them and you're thinking, what happened to these guys, you know? Many times they just go running out their mouths, insulting anybody in any wanton, in any way that they want, and I keep thinking,
so I have a feeling that you want a PR that you can bully. And
no,
the fact that Tamale and
not bully.
Ofono can't be bullied.
You can do it diplomatically, you know.
Who? Like, give examples of PRs you know in this country, both in the private and
you
public
sector. You want me to say your name?
No. For me, I'm not one of them.
At all.
Exactly. Even when I worked,
is it worse than this guy?
Even when I worked in a diplomatic mission as a communications person, I was still very far away from diplomacy. So tell me, which communications person do you know?
I don't know. I'm not putting a name to it, but I can tell you what needs to be done. For goodness sake, if you're rebutting,
that is not from the books which we read.
There's a diplomatic way to do it, but these two chaps go around abusing anybody, whether it is a speaker or that kind of thing.
Joel, if you're running PR for the Vatican, if you're running PR for a sensible, organization with sensible subjects and
but
systems.
if you're doing it for Uganda.
So the
Ugandan government is not exactly sensible.
The Observer,
the citizenry.
I'm just trying to
nice
they don't speak on our behalf.
Thank you.
The Observer this morning, how the pig demo was planned. 6 policemen have been arrested so far. These 2 pigs are very famous now. Right?
I wonder how much a kilo of their, after have they sliced them already?
I know my friend Ahmed who is watching this show. I know another friend of mine called Latif who's watching this. Please, let's not offend them further. But never mind.
How much it is?
Because now it's Friday.
No, but for me, again, the police, I was asking
my other good one, Farouk Kayondo of IGG could be here. Please,
I was asking people, all right, even if they would have taken in goats or cows or sheep, how does this happen? Yes, there were NRM people, but with respect to Parliament, do you have to let this,
Well, they didn't see it coming.
Are we going to equate the institution to such?
They woke up and...
Wait a minute, what question are you asking?
There they were.
How could you let in pigs?
Did they actually let them in?
Who was at the gate?
Police says his friend Enanga is still investigating.
Investigating what? There were people...
But the cartoon in the Daily Monitor is enough to explain to you what the psyche of the policemen at the gate were thinking. This is what the cartoon says. With the number of constituencies being created every other day, perhaps these may be the new honorable MPs from there. No, this is what the cartoon is saying. I mean, clearly, if MPs come in all forms of shapes and sizes and looks now, and policemen mistook
you try to relate our MPs to pigs, but look, of course, you talked about they should have taken goats and that kind of thing. In Kenya, when they did it first, it's because of the rapacity that is related to pigs. They are greedy and that kind of thing. So same thing playing out. But all the same, I don't give much credit to these young men. Yeah, this
it was a copycat kind of thing.
Yes. Look for something more ingenious. You can do a lot better than this.
Well, speaking of with dogs.
Speaking of, finally some hope, but I don't know if it's realistic. Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda says Uganda is to be HIV-free by 2020. Is this realistic?
We need to work a lot harder than that. 2020 is 6
people
years away from
people
that.
who are moving into that direction. You know them, who are doing everything possible. They are either abstaining, they are either being faithful, they are either using condoms, or even taking on male circumcision to reduce the risk of getting it by 60%. I mean, if all these efforts are put together, the successful sum of it, and we do doing that. Even on this very table here, I mean, it's A, B, C, C. I mean, A, you know, abstinence, be faithful, A, use a condom, and all circumcised.
They've told us that you have brought a new thing.
Which one?
It's called the ring.
The ring, yeah. Somebody was advising us this morning about the ring.
It is so disheartening that after some colleagues went through an agonizing, painful surgery,
then the next morning, you know, that would have done a lot better. Sorry for you. Next time you should have been a little bit patient.
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to our viewers. Is any of you guilty this morning?
What do we have in the red paper this morning? Let me take a look at the red paper. Rebels attack Mubende. And I think I saw the same in another newspaper. Rebels attack Mubende. Heavily armed men seize district headquarters and police station. Now, are we seeing this country returning to war?
But you know, we are seeing a lot of this. You know, it's either an army barracks or, you know, the police that are being attacked by one or two fellows with AK-47s. I don't know. I keep thinking there is a lot more than meets the eye. We need to unravel this. And
when you say rebels, what is the definition?
Rebels.
Yes,
they could either be disgruntled fellas, you know.
But that is rebellion.
Because again, when you say at some point they were alleging that, you know, they want to take over government, and I was thinking, really?
Yes.
Two guys with AK-47.
Let me tell you one thing. When 27 of them with 27, when 30 of them with 27
what were they up
AK-47.
against? Nowadays we have Mambas and all this.
No, listen. To be honest, when you have 27 AK-47 and you are looking at a government that going up against a government that has even a machine gun, clearly you're seeing you're going up against a Herculean task. And remember, you're going towards a government that has got thousands of soldiers. You are only 30 in a truck. So let's not take this for granted. We've seen it happen before in the past, and this is something that we cannot take lying down or even denigrate. I mean, even if they don't take over government, they can terrorize the region for many years. Joseph Kony did that for 20 years, causing havoc in northern part of Uganda, and the place will never be the same again. Yeah, so clearly
I don't know, but one would imagine these are easy to snuff out. We should, otherwise we are beginning to imagine so many things. Quote of the day here, this is by one John Bosco Mujumba on taxing schools. He says, we ask government to consider withdrawing the proposed new tax on our institutions. Short of that, we shall be forced to increase fees. So at the end of the day, the tax burden is laid heavily and squarely on the parent.
And you know, in a couple of days, we're also going to see the debate of the public finance bill coming up, where the Attorney General, you know, requires 1% of the budget. He's now working 50 billion, and he'll be expected, if we have 15 trillion shillings, 150 billion shillings will go to him, whether he does the budget or not. So that is also something to look forward to.
Well, the red paper this morning is bring out a story that we've had play out somewhere before, that members of parliament from the NRM were each given 110 million shillings to clear their dates and kwekuba fufu, so to speak. What have you been waiting for? What have you been waiting for?
KCCA is right to arrest vendors. This is a letter written by somebody. I saw people being arrested for buying bogoyas and that kind of thing, and I was thinking, okay.
I kind of like the guy that first ate his bogoya, then he was arrested.
Yeah, you don't make two losses.
But you know, why do you arrest me? I should be, in fact, charging you, suing you for failure of doing your job to remove vendors.
Well, they're arresting you for abetting that, which is now a crime. You know,
so should we arrest people that have sex?
But sex is not illegal. No, vending on the streets is illegal, Mukama.
No, but if you have HIV, you're continuing the spread of HIV, right?
Well, that bill is also in the offing.
Should we arrest people that have sex?
No, not those that have sex.
KCC has
the bill that's in the offing.
KCC has failed to get vendors off the streets.
Well, maybe this is one way, because you see, it's just like they keep talking about these ladies of the night, you know, and as they keep chasing after them, I keep thinking, but wait a minute, there are these guys who go to patronize their services. You
but
know,
the consumers of sex, the consumers of bogoyas on the streets will never stop.
Yeah, but you see, after arresting those guys, you know, you will not be tempted to go and buy a bogoya, will you? you would really have to be
if I
brave to do
phone
that.
Chip Bogoya on
But you
the
see, for me,
street,
what I
and
don't
then they take you
understand
as
is
well.
the misappropriation of resources. Now, AKC is getting all this media glitz and glamour for arresting 7 chaps and subjecting them to 1 hour and a half of community service. When my road of Robert Mugabe is there wallowing in mud and what. I mean,
Your
for
road
me,
is Robert Mugabe.
No, Mugabe Road, I found it there. I mean, it wasn't me who named it that. It's good Robert Mugabe Road
it's not
there
worked on.
in Nakawa. And no, well.
It will be worked on when Mugabe leaves power.
Well, I can assure that Karumba man who is my mayor for Nakawa, he can be very sure I am starting a protracted campaign against him. He can be very sure he has 1 vote less. Last time I voted
man
for
that returned the car.
Which
he
car?
returned his car.
I don't care whether he returned
Yeah,
the car or
yeah,
whatever.
it's in bad shape.
That Karumba man, he can be very
He's
sure.
a mayor.
Yes, he's a mayor who has not.
Mayor.
That mayor who has not given me services as a resident of Nakawa is not worth that name of mayor. And
You should have him on the lead story one of these days.
No, you see the advantage I have is that yes, I have got platform and I'm now campaigning. Fellow residents
you want to
of
become
Nakawa.
the mayor?
No,
be very careful.
Anything else that comes to stand in as a mayor, we vote that one except the one who has failed to give us
You wanted to
services.
become an MP or mayor, whatever the case.
Please come and redeem us from this.
Silver platter, there you have it. I see there are some young people that are going to graduate from an international school. This morning as I was coming, you see that Acacia Mall is going to be opened by His Excellency the President. You know, the President is literally everywhere. It's we are, you know, drawing close to 2016. You know, so. And there's a parent who was asking me, look, if I wanted the president to come and attend my daughter's graduation, she's graduating from international school. I said, most likely he will come. I just know the right people to talk to, and you will.
Your favorite magazine, Scoop, before Joel tells us when to invite the president and through what, is in the Daily Monitor this morning. For Friday, we are looking at an interesting area of 411 and some interesting gossip news here, just to relax you for a Friday. And of course, the red pepper is always awash with gossip and all this kind of sleazy news, and of course photos of interesting faces that you must meet, according to them, before you die.
Well, also in the Observer every Friday, Kasiate comes out with some, you know, metrosexual tips, grappling with finding.
Don't say that in an American accent. Yeah, I have sanctions to issue.
Grappling with finding good clothes.
Yeah,
but first wait, I thought you're telling us to find good clothes, yeah? You're supposed to like lead by example.
No, the word is grappling.
Okay, now I catch something.
Well, get yourself a copy of the Observer, of course, and get to read what it means to be suave and debonair for a man, because many of you never take very serious attention to your fashion and style. The Daily Monitor obviously gives you a very good package for Friday, serious and unserious, so to speak, and I'm putting that in inverted
Some
commas.
of it is serious. I see somebody here giving people tips on how to plan better for retirement. You meet many retirees that their lives are not the kind you want to admire. You know, it could be dual. Either they need to plan well enough, but also we need to treat well people that have served this country. There's a guy that died after working I don't know for how long.
Well, I think before we can go into that very sad story of retiring, we need to lead by example and retire from this segment of the show and link up to Mabel, who's standing by with international news. Mabel, yes, Global Corp put sanctions on Uganda many months after we put into law the anti-homosexuality bill, and they are withdrawing a lot of bilateral financial cooperation, including stopping a joint military exercise that was planned. Do you have any other place where they have placed sanctions, or do you want to share with us what personal sanctions you are also slapping on the U.S.? Just like I've said, my colleagues here, I will not go to the United States of the U.S. until Obama leaves the presidency. I'm not going to watch any American movie. I'm not going to wear any American clothes. Those are my sanctions. Reverse sanctions the USA. How serious will they feel my pinch? Over to you, maybe.
Actually, Simon, thank you very much. Yes, some Ugandans are being denied visas according to a statement from the White House. People who are, of course, against the LGBT movement. But I must say, I think I'll also have sanctions here. You guys on the rooftop are having so much fun while I'm alone here. So I think I'll have one of you join me one of these days. Well, starting off with Reuters, on the World News page on their website, Ukraine rebels speak of heavy losses in a battle against government troops. This is despite the new president's aim to talk about peace with the rebels. And on CNN page, we see executions resuming amid lingering questions over drugs and the methods being used. About 7 weeks ago, there was a botched execution of a man who took longer than usual to die because of the medicines. There are, of course, still legal and technical considerations concerning the issue, but executions have now resumed. And U.S. reduces money to Uganda over harsh anti-gay laws. A statement released by the White House said Uganda will lose some of its aid, is definitely going to be cut. However, the U.S. says they will not end humanitarian support nor cooperation to stamp out the LRA. However, some Ugandans will be denied entry into the U.S. and a military exercise that was planned by Washington has been cancelled because of the bill Museveni signed earlier in the year. And Harley Davidson invites the public to test an electric bike. This is an iconic bike maker that many of us know. And yes, it is a select group of customers that will ride and provide feedback on this bike. This bike is known as Project Livewire. Beautiful bike, if you ask me. Now on to other news in on the BBC's page. Still here, US imposes sanctions on Uganda for the anti-gay law. They say they are counter to universal human rights, and that's why Ugandans are facing sanctions this morning. And also the split-second psychology of football. What actually is in a footballer's brain? We have seen some great moments in this 2014 FIFA World Cup, from Van Persie's goal, Tim Cahill, as well as the Mexican keeper Ochoa. Do you think that their brains are different? Well, there's a study here on BBC that actually tells us their brains are just as ordinary as everyday intelligence. Basically, you and I guess if we're in such a situation, would probably have a header like Suarez yesterday. And now, is she the next Mark Zuckerberg? There are summer camps taking place in the US for black girls. Specifically, they are teaching these children how to code. So it's not only something left for the children of the rich, but everybody is learning these computer skills, especially coding, and we shall see what the next big thing will be. Now on to sport. This is a big story on the Africa page of BBC. Ivory Coast, that was really our only hope. They lost yesterday to Colombia. Quite sad there. Colombia have clinched a place in the final 16. And yeah, I guess we shall wait to see what Ghana has to hold for us. And then also on the Sky News page, actually, this is not Sky Sport. England look to Italy to avoid a World Cup exit. I'm sure everyone is hoping for Italy to beat Uruguay. And that's all we had for you in the press review. Do stay tuned. The big stories coming up next.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji and Brian Mulondo.
What's that?
That document.
Oh, that. Just some business.
I came to apologize. I have no right to interfere in your lives.
I've eliminated the only evidence that links me to Ivan Chinawa's death.
But you didn't have to kill another person.
It's not like I've got anything to hide, Nene. Just go ahead.
Victoria, how is it like to work for Miles Filagazi?
Blood seemed to matter not.
Blood?
Yeah, blood.
I'm responsible for your father's death.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Mr. Krabs, are you ready to party?
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it.
Wow! Hello, fellow motor enthusiastics.
Oh, Mr. Krabs, isn't there any way for us to return all of them back to normal?
Hey! How'd he do that? The Red Ranger's a bigger problem than I thought!
It's time to finish this thing up!
What can I do to make them love me again?
What are you drawing, Kitty?
Mega Rangers? That's a mega win!
Hello? King Julian, you are truly inspiring. Ow!
Sponge pot! Fantastic!
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
You're still watching Morning at NTV. It's about 12 minutes on to 8 o'clock. We now cross over to Simon to tell us who he is speaking to in today's big story. Hello, Simon, once again. Any sanctions on the big story?
Well, Mabel, today we are discussing very interesting subjects that touch at the very core of communication between young people, and I do not know whether I qualify to be one of the young people, but of course, looking at a country that has got 40-year-olds claiming to be youth, I think that I'm one of those young people. But even the old people can still benefit from this discussion. We are talking about social media, its impact, its usage, and how, obviously, it is a driver and purveyor of information, good or bad. And of course, you know that today is a Friday morning, and for the most part, WhatsApp, Twitter, and Facebook will be overridden by guys looking out for progi, or even just trying to vent from the frustrations and all the other things they've had in the entire week. So this morning, I've got an interesting array of guests, two drop-dead gorgeous ladies who are, for the most part, spend their life and time on social media. Check out for them when I return. A very good morning once again. It's the 20th day of June 2014. Coming to you live from the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel is the big story as a section of Morning at NTV. Now this morning, we're looking at social media. Social media and its impact to our country. A story is told, it's a joke, I do not know how true it is, that someone once eavesdropped a conversation in a taxi of this man telling somebody on the phone how he's grappling with finding enough money to pay for the services his son had sent to him on the list that the school wanted them to pay 800,000 shillings for Twitter, some 700,000 shillings for Facebook, and the other book I think was called WhatsApp, and the other one I think was the Internet. And So, and this man said, I managed to sell a few things and gave my son this money, and I'm sure now the school is happy. So there we have it, the generational gap. Young people taking advantage of us, the old ones, to lie to us that these are actual virtual things that you can touch and feel, and for the most part cost a lot of money. That is part of the impact of social media in our country. But discuss furthermore into this, I have got Aine Ruth, or Ruth Aine, whichever way you put, I'm sure the syntax doesn't really matter, Ruth.
No, it doesn't.
Ruth is no stranger to the big story, and she is one of those who spends her time on social media. She'll be telling us much more of what she does. And of course, Grace Natabalo, who also spends a lot more time on Facebook. And for you journalists who are watching this show, you know that she's the administrator of that journalist Facebook page, and for the most part is always tweeting. I'm surprised you don't have your touch screen phone with you on this show.
I kind of forgot it in my bag.
How is that possible? You who tweets while you are seated, maybe perhaps even attending to natural and unnatural calls and all that. How come you don't have it here?
I don't know. I was more interested in the coffee this time around. It's free coffee, so.
Quite very interesting here. Now, Grace, I'll start with you. Communication has taken a diverse shift into social media. Many things that we waited to read in the newspapers in the morning or watch on television news, which for us we watch in Uganda at night, seem to be breaking every now and then. We get the information on the tip of our fingers as it happens. Can we say that is a revolution in the right direction, or is it counterproductive in that people who purvey information on social media may not have the responsibility and certain gauges and speed governors that journalists in the traditional sense normally have, of being truthful, of being objective, and of course of not telling lies?
Yeah, of course it's been a revolution and it's still ongoing. It's no longer a privilege of a journalist to always have access to certain information. I might have access to that information, somewhere in Masaka might have access to that information, and as long as they have a mobile phone and mobile internet, they will still convey that information to anyone out there. But most people will always go back to the newspaper tomorrow, just read more facts, read some bit of interpretation, and get the whole picture of the story if they're interested in it. But social media is changing the way we are communicating, and let's say something happens and the journalist is not there. And all these people with mobile phones, with tablets, with anything that's connected to the internet are able to send this news onto social media.
And it starts spreading around like a wildfire.
Yeah, and it spreads around. And sometimes it's even rumors. It doesn't have to be true. We've seen that happening. There've been stories of people dying when they're not dead. So there are rumors, but of course there are facts, and we will always go back to traditional media for a bit of facts.
Away from that positive use of social media, and I'll turn to you, Aine, we know of a phenomenon called cyberbullying, where you find characters who would never even face up to anyone and show them the middle finger, or even put up a sensible argument before them. But on social media, because of the cover of anonymity and of course the comfort of the fact that you're not facing someone directly, they are on Twitter, on Facebook, telling people all sorts of things, showing them middle fingers and all sorts of things. Isn't that a negative attribute of the use of social media that needs to be decried by people like you who use it positively?
I think so. We cannot hide to the fact that any kind of development always has a positive and a negative. And, you know, in society we always choose to look at the positive as it so pleases us, because, you know, we want to uphold what is good. But yes, it has very many negative effects. But then that doesn't mean that we stop using social media. Cyberbullying, amongst others, is, you know, it's one of those very unfortunate things that happened. Because, you know, being online gives you a kind of a community and a satisfaction. You kind of are able to put out that which you are not able to do so in person. You feel so comfortable to be able to speak about anything and everything, and, you know, give an opinion, because somehow you have an audience. So it gives you that satisfaction of knowing that you are valued, that you have something to say, and that, you know, when you put it out, people will identify with you and they will understand you. Because at the end of the day, we are relational beings, and so being able to, you know, to have someone like your comment, or I mean have someone like your post because you said, oh, good morning, I woke up and, you know, on the wrong side of the bed and I'm now having coffee, and having them identify with you gives you a sense of belonging. But there has been, of course, we've seen this trail making rounds on social media of how unsocial we have become in the advent of social media. That I'm here with you on a date having coffee, and for the most part I'm talking to a virtual community elsewhere, and you, the person with whom I'm interacting, I am unable to put up a sensible conversation or even relate with you physically. We've also seen that particular clip in that video going around, is that many guys are walking on the streets and all they're looking at is the screen of their phone, and what they are possibly trying to find love on the screen, and a droplet gorgeous car just passes by who possibly would have caught their eye, but they are not there. They're not physically there, but they are virtually absent. Isn't that another aspect that possibly pours cold water on that assertion of the fact that we are social beings? I mean, I like to tell people that everything is about moderation. You have got to be able to moderate how much of everything you take in. Because there are people who will not leave the house because they are hooked to PlayStation, or they are hooked to you know, streaming live, whatever it is. They want to get everything online, and so they will order their food online. They will order their
This may sound disgusting, but I have a friend of mine who says the first thing he does when he wakes up is to pick his phone and go to the toilet, you know, and then he spends much more time. He's done with the business there, but he continues in there, and before he notices, it's 1 hour and a half and he's late for work. That, for me, is a
moderation is key. You have got to be able to plan your time, like we do with everything else. I mean, people that exercise, for example, know that you have only this amount of time that you need to exercise.
Yeah, but you see, exercise is breaking down your body. You get tired, and so the body, the fatigue just
So there's mental fatigue as well. I mean, sitting on in front of a laptop or with your gadget doesn't mean that you don't get tired. The truth is, you actually get tired.
Absolutely.
Actually, there are people who are addicted to the internet, and if it went off tomorrow, they would almost commit suicide.
And Grace, be honest with us. I'm sure you are one of them, and I'm running out to you.
No,
Grace, there's this advert making the rounds on our TV stations of a little kid, trying to find out, and one of the voices in there says, "Oh, the things we love to find out on the internet," something like that. And the little kid is innocently asking, "What do crocodiles eat?" And supposing they were asking another question. What does mommy and daddy do when, that kind of thing? Isn't social media one of those ungagged places where young children can find the most morally disturbing and debilitating scenarios that would make them a bunch of lunatics as they grow up?
Yeah, of course. There are good things and bad things.
She talks about moderation,
yeah.
And I'm asking you about regulation. Do you think there is need for regulation on what we find in cyberspace and social media for that matter?
Oh yeah, of course there is regulation. If it has to do with child pornography, of course we need to regulate that. We can't allow such content on to be accessed anywhere in this country. And of course it could start with you as a parent or as a person wherever you work by putting in place measures that would filter what you access. Yes, there is freedom to access any information you want, but there are also limits. You can't start accessing child pornography just because there is freedom of information. So
we must ban child pornography. You as individuals and moralists and parents, you support that. But there are people who are in the business of governance who think that social media is one of those places where formation of demonstration, formation of rebellion has been taking tremendous root. Would you also argue the same, that people maybe in political contestations should maybe also try to put some kind of limitation, regulation, and perhaps even the ban of social media going in the direction of creating political change?
No.
Why not? Why is it good for the other moral part of it and not good for political change for that matter?
Usually the political argument stems from fear that people are going to agree on something online and actually take it online and take it offline. So
and there has been results to that. We've seen these springs, Arab Spring and the other spring.
Yes, because you have refused to listen to people when they talk. And this is one medium they can use. They are certain that something will come out of it. Of course, I do not support people who promote hate speech online. Hate speech is one thing, and fighting for some cause is also another thing. If you start saying, "Oh, let's all go out, kill this tribe," or "let's go out, rob this shop," and what, of course that cannot be acceptable. It's still crime. Crime online, crime offline is crime. So when you say, "Oh, let's ban social media because people are out there saying all sorts of things," what exactly are they saying? Are they demanding for services? Are they demanding for some sort of change? Are you listening, or are you focused on social media being where people are just saying all sorts of things? So you have to calculate the sort of messages that are coming out of social media. It's all about listening. What are people saying online?
Now, you as purveyors of social media, I know when we started this particular segment and talking about social media, many people who were initially waiting to listen to some more, enticing conversation, possibly in regard to some topics showing up at Parliament, or why healthcare doesn't have enough budgeting, and because they are already 50 years of age and all that, have switched off and went to do some other thing because they believe that social media is a young person's world. They are not part of this. I mean, our parents, maybe their peers, do not think that social media is something that is for them and in their time. Is it something you're looking at to try and sell social media to people much older than us, or should we remain in our little bubble of social media so that we can gossip about our parents, post our nude pictures with the hope that our parents are not watching?
I think that the role of social media has changed. It is no longer a place where we go and just post nude pictures or just talk about anything. It is a place where people go to find relationships, professional relationships, where people go to create
Even
relationships as
relationships.
well. Yes, that has happened. And also to, kind of meet the needs of the people that spend most of their time online. But also you realize that it has become a tool. And I always say that social media enhances what is already on the ground. So if a company or if the government or whoever wants to take on social media, that is very okay. Thing is, you have got to be able to translate what services you're giving or whatever is happening on ground and put it out there. And then the other thing about it is that it gives you more information. It gives, it is adding value to what would be the services on ground. So the thing is, how do you package it? And then the other thing is you have to listen to what is being said. So now that we realize that social media is one of those big things that is happening. What are we going to do about it? Are we going to sit and watch it happen, or are we going to be a part of it? Companies, the government, whoever needs to create policies that will be inclusive of social media, that are tailor-made for these audiences that they're trying to engage in. Because believe it or not, there are audiences that are online
Which
and
government
that
are you
are trying.
talking about put in place these policies?
Well, I am talking about
members of parliament have been given, show me that, tablets, and many of them spend time playing Tetris and
well,
solitaire.
the thing is, well, I will give examples. When you go look at Europe, Sweden, for example, the foreign minister, is it the, no, I think the prime minister is on social media. He takes time to tweet and find out. And
who is this?
And he took his
who took a selfie with President Obama at a funeral?
Yeah, that was someone else. And so you realize that there are actually countries that encourage their people to get online.
Is this something that you would prefer to prescribe to our country, very specifically?
I would say yes, but with caution. Reason being that, I mean, the average number of people the average age of people in parliament is what, is about 50?
No, they're actually young.
There are some young people,
young,
but then
very out of touch with the youngness.
So the use of social media, I would say yes, go on, embrace it, but then be careful what image you're trying to create. Have someone who will come and help you understand what it is. Don't go there because you want to go there and everyone else is going there. Go there because you have a message and you realize
I know some members of parliament who are very active on social media. In fact, one of them is my good friend from Mukono, Betty Namboze, who I'm very impressed by her presence in there, and that's as much as I'll comment on her statuses. But now, Grace, we seem to want to present this whole social media phenomena as if it is stress-free, frustration-free, especially coming in from the service providers that provide for us internet data and all that, but also the regulatory arm of government, which is the Uganda Communications Commission. Many times I've seen, for the most part, rants on Facebook, curses to mobile telecom companies that promise data, but instead, and I will relate to the advert I was telling you, where they say, what do crocodiles eat? I mean, I saw someone saying, looks like these crocodiles are eating MTN mobile data, because you will load it in there and before you do anything, it's done. Tell us the level of frustration you who spend time on social media are facing from the service providers of this, and what you find as a point of recourse. Do you have anyone you report to? Do you have anyone other than ranting on Facebook, the same place that is frustrating you? What else do you do to get some kind of recourse?
I've been quite successful in some of my rantings, and I've received feedback from a few companies, which I won't mention, but some of them have taken it up.
I mean, people need to know.
Okay, I always get a response from Airtel. National Water and Sewage Corporation has been quite receptive of my messages and has taken on, has found a solution to many of my problems. I think, who else? Umeme is quite responsive. It's always there on Twitter and replying to people's queries.
So is ESCOM. I do not know. I have no big problems with that.
Yeah, but there's a lot of frustration online, and people are, because you will call MTN and wait for 3 hours, and they'll keep telling you it's busy, it's busy, it's busy. So the social platform is one way of reaching out to a company, the government, anyone, and if they don't reply, then why do you even have a Twitter account if you last tweeted 70 days ago? Just delete it if you as a service provider are not going to be there to answer people's queries. Why are you on social media if you just want to advertise your service or whatever you do?
Well, it's more like the case with what I see reported by the Daily Monitor, that 85% of government websites are in fact dormant. There is no update to this. But I was talking about the frustration with regard to the service providers of internet data. Like say your friends in Airtel that you talked about, MTN Uganda cares, or sometimes doesn't care. I mean, this is what I would love you to tell us. Is it free for all? Do you get you actually get value for the money you spend on buying this data?
Yeah, I would say sometimes I do, but of course, depending on what you access online, the money could run out in just a few seconds. But because some people don't know that if you buy a bundle of 50 MB and you start watching YouTube videos, it's going to be gone within just a few minutes. But so there is a bit of education needed to let people know how much bandwidth you actually use. But of course, we still have problems with the speeds. They tell you it's 4G, but it's actually not 4G. They tell you it's 3G. And it's like just 1G or even less than a G.
Or 4G plus, and it's just the plus.
Yeah, so sometimes you feel like someone is actually stealing your bandwidth, and you know you did not access this, did not access that, but your internet is gone.
And in that case, where do you vent your frustrations on? Still on social media? And how much success have you had? For example, if you run to the Uganda Communications Commission, I mean, these are guys who threaten hell on earth, and we haven't seen much that they are doing. What
I don't think they do much as far as social media is concerned. I think I had a few queries. I've seen a few people complaining to UCC online, and there's almost never a response. The last time I made a query, I never received a response.
Well,
so maybe I should have a hotline that I should be calling, but who would I speak to?
If their social media is a cold line, do not expect the telephone line to be hot on either side. Ruth Aine and Grace Natabal, I must thank you very much for sharing with us your 2 cents or your 2 pence on the issue of social media, how it's moving this country, whether or not it is something that is bringing us as a country to be part of the global village that's talking to each other, that's relating to each other. Let's take a short break. When we return, it's Simon Says. Well, there we have it on a wonderful Friday morning. The sun just, piercing through the sky with some golden rays, depending on where you are. At least that's what I'm seeing from where I'm seated. It's the kind of day where you now turn to social media and, say something about how beautiful the morning is, or how frustrating the night was, or what you expect as an outlook for the rest of the day. Or that kind of day where maybe if you were lucky and the speeds are really high, it's the day where you relax and catch up on some information on social media. I do not think today is such a day where you want to go and start spewing your hatred towards certain individuals or their tribes or anything. I think that we should keep really for other fora and not social media, because you have no idea how much the world is watching and listening. And of course, when you go that direction, to be very seriously honest with you, you are taken almost below contempt. But that's not to say you want people who will associate with you. I mean, there is already someone to associate with any kind of stuff that is posted on Facebook. Do not get flattered by a like simply because you've ranted about someone's tribe. I think that should be an embarrassing like on your side, the way you should be perceiving it. But away from that, we know that social media is making tremendous inroads into this country, and a lot more information that was otherwise inaccessible to many of us is now being put at the fingertips of at our fingertips. And so this is a driver of, well, to use the age-old government word, socio-economic transformation. Question is, are you feeling transformed if you're a user of Facebook? Perhaps you're not being productive enough or using it productively. Have a wonderful and productive Friday. We're starting up the weekend. You need to be safe. Of course, there is World Cup going on. A lot of frustrations. We are done with the pain from Spain. Africa is getting its planes getting ready to bring back the teams. The rest of the game is only just beginning, and we can only now support those teams that we think have the hope of lifting that golden trophy. Have and enjoy your weekend.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Are you and I ever gonna have a chance to be sisters?
You want the baby to have my name?
Would that be okay?
So I'm happy you came. Yes, especially since I thought you were shunning all things Newman. I have my own reasons for showing up.
What did you say about him?
I'm sorry, attempted rape.
Okay, look, whatever you think you know about him, you don't know his heart.
If there is a way to make me feel more miserable, you will instinctively find it.
You gave up the one woman you loved, and now you're having a hard time figuring out how to move on?
I can't imagine who would want to hurt a good man like you.
Okay, you know what? I don't need you telling me how to feel about Lily.
Are you pregnant? No. Then why are you trying to alienate Tyler?
Has something happened between the two of you? Are you afraid that I'm gonna do something to ruin your marriage, or that you will?
Why don't we have a party? I'll bring Nikki and bring your siblings. How's that?
Now, what are you gonna do? You gonna blackmail them this time, or are you gonna bribe them?
Looks like Mommy's not the only one who knows how to make up a story.
My name is Cox, aka Mr. Showbiz.
When I'm in Uganda, I only listen to DJ Baby Love.
When you're dancing on the light, girl walk out, your body down no fly, your fingernail them no fear fly.
You have a problem with it?
No, I ain't got no problem.
You don't use my mic, man. This is exposed mic.
I go deal with you personally.
XFB, it's officially back. Yeah, I'm in this heaty with cats. It's what we do, baby, put UG on the map. Now come out up, now come out up, now come out up, nakamawo. Hey.
Teri muganda yagala munne kututumuka. Abanyankole mweyagalidde mu Kampala abajja okulonda mwafunamu bibanja.
I'm that dude, so they come and love it.
You're going to start paying for watching Exposed.
I wasn't born last night. I know these hoes ain't right.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of Jazz with Isaiah.
Baby, I don't want you to cry every time.
Jazz with Isaiah.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji and Brian Mulondo.
Thank you for joining us this Friday. Now, earlier, Simon was speaking to Ruth and Grace about social media and its impact. And on to some of your messages. Johnny says, I was born in the .com era where it's cheap and free, hence easy communication. I think he doesn't know what it's like not to have a mobile phone. Katende says, when you're posting fake things, it signifies what you think and what your life is like. What I think is we should post important things that are productive and profound and educative. Asuman says it has really made communication easy as it enables multiple people to communicate regardless of where they reside. We have Sharif saying it has impacted him positively. It has made Ugandans feel free to express whatever they feel. It should be put into people's awareness without fear. And Pasco says it has positively brought change through sensitizing lazy Ugandans. We shall now cross over to Brian to find out what you are saying on Twitter and also to find out who he has for everyday life this Friday. Good morning, Brian.
We have everything we need for an action sequence.
Well, good morning, Mabel. Just been chatting about the set here, the rooftop, James Bond kind of thing. Like when crisis just comes, I jump into the pool, my name is Bond, James Bond, Brian Bond probably, or Brian Mulondo, which does not really make sense. But this morning on Everyday Life, we're going to look at something that especially the Western world has criticized Africans of: reading and writing. But one of our very own that did us proud, Jennifer Nansubuga Makumbi, who has just won the 2014 Commonwealth Short Story Prize. We'll be looking at that. And also a guest from Ghana. Hey, Igwe, we shall be asking you, why is it hard for Ugandans to read and write? Coming up on Everyday Life. Well, very good morning.
Ayikwe Parks.
Ayikwe. All right. I could remember Ni. And Jennifer, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
How did that feel, winning this prize? We were all very excited. NTV broke the story and we're like...
yes.
Yeah.
You swept in there, didn't you?
We had to do it.
It's very hard to explain because it's a lot of emotions coming into you all at once. Excitement, overwhelmed, fear, you know, because you think, what am I doing next?
Yes.
You know, where is this leading me?
You set the bar high for yourself.
Yes, a bit too high.
But the money helps.
I love the money bit of it. and of course, my novel is taking a huge ride on the back of the prize.
Wow.
So I'm quite excited.
What was the novel that you wrote? Is it the one that won the prize? Or?
No, it was a short story that won. It's called Let's Tell the Story Properly.
Why did you choose such a title?
Because we had to tell the story properly. And I think for a new writer, I'm trying to tell the Ugandan story properly. Because, of course, you've had a lot of things being said about Uganda in the media for a long time. But it's other people saying these things. And we haven't had our chance to say who we are, what we are. So, for example, in Britain, when I say to people, oh, I'm Ugandan, and say, ha! Idi Amin.
Yeah.
Think, no. There are other exciting things about Uganda. You know, it's not just Idi Amin.
Yeah.
So let's tell the story properly is perhaps a launch into telling our story, the Ugandan story.
That's awesome. Ni, you're from Ghana.
Yes.
Is it the same story like Uganda where we're called a literally desert?
Not really, but I think that there is a tendency outside of the continent for people to lump Africa together. So you often get people saying Africans don't write and Africans don't read.
Right.
So in a way you get drawn into it a little. However, I think that because we had, for instance, our first president was a known writer, Kwame Nkrumah wrote about, a dozen books in his lifetime and lots of speeches. So there's a kind of identification with writing when you say Ghana, or at least for people who know Ghana.
The president inspired.
Exactly. So he started out, encouraging culture, etc. And of course we had Ayikwe as one of the big writers who came out after Achebe, on the African continent. And we've had Amata Edu, who had some international renown. So there are people who are known as writers from Ghana, and that helps a little bit. However, we have been a desert in terms of producing writers for a while. From the 70s, 80s, we didn't really produce new writers.
Right.
We were still kind of selling our old writers as, let's go.
You're still writing on Kwame Glory. What is the story in Uganda? You have written for how many years now?
I've been writing for over 10 years, but unknown because I wasn't published.
Yeah.
So I'm just coming out now, but I've been at it for over 10 years.
Is publishing the problem? Why can't someone here sit down? I got a friend who is a journalist in the US, and they read through some of our papers here.
Yes.
They're like, this is bad writing.
Yes.
This would no one would read it in my state.
Yes. The reason is mainly that we don't have a market for novels here. For a long time, they've been publishing textbooks because they have a market in the schools. And most Ugandan readers, young girls and boys who love reading, have been forced to read just the Western novels, the Ludlum, the Sidney Sheldons, Harold Robbins, and of course the romances. But they haven't been given a chance to read Ugandan writing, and perhaps that has affected the writing itself because they don't grow up on their own literature, and therefore they don't know whether you can actually write a Ugandan novel. So, for example, I remember Adichie saying that when she first started writing, she wrote, her novel was about a blonde with blue eyes, because all the novels she had been reading were about...
And that's an African writing about a blonde.
Oh, yeah. So it's important that our children read books written by people like us to encourage them to write.
Do our writers creative enough to, you know, create stuff that is African, or, you know, like to write a romantic novel that is African?
Oh yes, oh yes. You've had the pace setters.
Most of the girls will be
yes, yes, no. I mean, yeah. I mean, we used to read pace setters when we were growing up.
Yes.
Which was I think that was a Longman series, and then there was another one which was done by Macmillan, which I can't remember the name of.
Yes.
So there were these series that were around, you know, small books which were crime fiction, romance, and stuff like that. And I think, you know, we tell these stories every day in the streets. For me, I think one of the things that stops us from creating is that we're too reverent towards the English language. We think that because it's going to be in English, we have to write like the Emily Bronte or something.
Oh, yes.
And one of my things, my big things is like, look, we speak this language. We use it our own way. We add our own words. Let's write it that way. Let's not try and write like somebody who comes out of Eton. Don't use the language like they would use it, because what happens is it changes the way the language.
Indeed.
So for instance, you ask somebody in English, how was your day? They'll say fine. You ask them in their own language and they will give you a breakdown.
Oh yeah.
So it's almost like the language is stopping them from expressing themselves because there's a reverence, too much reverence for the language.
Yes.
Meanwhile, you look at Latin America and the way what they've done with Spanish. You go to Cuba, the way they speak Spanish, completely nothing to do with the way they speak Spanish in Spain. And by the same token, you go to Argentina, again, it's different. So every country has added their own flavor to it. And when you travel around Africa, when I come here, the way Ugandans speak English, I can hear it's different. I just tune my ear, and there's a music to it. There's a music that is informed by the local languages, by your own jokes, by the timing, by you finding something funny in the sound of an English word, so you keep using it.
Yes.
So, you know, all of that stuff, if it doesn't come to life in the writing, who's going to be interested to read?
Indeed, indeed. And as Achebe said, this language came to us. We didn't invite it. We were going to use it the way we want to. And that's what I do in my novels.
At the end of the day, would have written with or without English?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. But now we have English. It's not going to be the Etonian English. It's going to be the Ugandan English. And we make it our own.
Well, if you're just joining us, I am obviously one of the victims of not reading and definitely not writing. So it's kind of the...
I like the word victim.
So speaking of rescuing victims,
yes.
Is there, for example, let's start with writers.
Yes.
Are there basic things that the writers should do? If I've never written something, I want to create a piece, are there things that I can do? Even if I create a short story of, say, 5 sentences.
Yes. Well, the first thing you do before you start writing is to read, and read a lot. So, Brian...
This interview is over.
If you're thinking of putting a pen to paper, you've got to read a lot, and read contemporary writing that is, you know, recently being published.
Right.
But then write whatever comes out of you naturally. Don't write like Achebe. Don't write like Jennifer. Don't write like me. Think of how you would stand in the street and say, I was in the taxi, and can you imagine what happened? The way you would tell that story, write it that way.
I usually write when I'm angry. I put all my thoughts on paper. I'm like, surely it's not this bad. Yes, for writers.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to questioning yourself. When you're telling a story, what is the stuff that makes you laugh? When you go to the bar or you're with friends, who is the friend who tells your story and makes you laugh? What is it that makes that work? Is it the way he starts it? Is it something he puts in the middle? Is it the punchline? Identifying those elements is the beginning of you writing a story, no matter how short. You know, somebody could just talk about a rat walking into this interview. Now, somebody else would say, you know, the rat had to bend its head to walk through the door. Now, the moment you say that, the same story has transformed, because suddenly people are like, that's some kind of rat.
That's a huge
right?
I'm sorry, but you're saying that one time when I was a child, a snake walked into, UTV, and someone was presenting, and he jumped.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
See?
So
It's
that's
a story to
huge
remember.
story.
Exactly. You know, and these things like that, you can construct a story around because it sounds implausible, but it actually happened.
Yeah.
Actually.
So then you think, what would be the story of that? Who sent that snake?
Where couldn't it go anywhere else?
Anyway, why
Exactly.
you know, and why when he is speaking?
Yeah. It's the questions that create the stories. So you're a questioning man.
I think that clip is on YouTube.
Is
Is it?
When the
I'm going to
snake
see it because I don't like being left out here. The two of you are laughing.
I think
You've
that
obviously
clip is
seen
on
it. I haven't
YouTube.
seen it.
That clip is on YouTube. Well, if you're just reading us and you want to be a writer or reader, second part applies to me, reader. This morning, I'm with Nee, who is a writer and a poet from Ghana, and of course, a lady that did Uganda proud, Jennifer Makumbi, who has just won the Commonwealth Short Story Prize 2014. And we're looking at how we can help each other out, you know, reading.
Yes, starting with you, Brian.
I have read one book for about 3 to 4 years, and it's very, I can't even believe I'm saying this on national TV. It's totally embarrassing.
Yeah, yes. It is embarrassing, Brian. I'm not letting you off on that.
How do you get me out of this hole?
Perhaps I'll start by frightening you, because that's the best way to get a person who's lazy in terms of reading off the lazy couch. Reading is the exercise for your brain. So basically, without reading, your brains are growing older at a fast rate. How is that for frightening? Honestly, if you do not read, you will be 60 years old by the time you're 40 physically.
That's scary.
That's really scary.
Yeah, indeed. So if your body needs exercising to keep it healthy, so does your brain. And reading, only reading does that.
So how do I start before I turn 40?
Pick up a book. I mean, it's really that simple.
I picked up a book for 4 years.
Oh, yes.
I mean, you know, there are different ways in which people read. I have a friend who says, I find reading boring, so I read before I go to bed because it makes me sleepy. But the fact of the matter is, no. I mean, and
you count the number of words.
Yes, he's very honest about it. However, in that habit, he still reads a book a month, right?
Wow.
Yes, because by the time he goes to sleep, he's read 3-4 pages. He falls asleep. The next day, he does another 3-4 pages. 3-4 pages a day times 30. That's substantial. That's 120 pages.
Yes.
You know.
He's almost finishing a novel.
No, Achebe, Things Fall Apart is less than 120 pages, I believe. It's a small book.
Wow.
So there are classic books. There are lots of classic books that are really small. Of Mice and Men, you know, a small book. There are lots of great small books. So if that's your thing, target the small books first.
Yes.
When your appetite is growing, it's just like children, they start eating little bits. By the time they're 26, they sit in the afternoon to eat matoke and you can't give them enough.
Indeed.
So that's you know, I think start small. I think sometimes people are too ambitious. Well, I mean too ambitious in the sense they think I have to go and read the biggest novelist in the world first. For me, I think forget that. Read something that entertains you.
Yes, indeed.
Something contemporary, something that will make you laugh every 5 minutes. Why not?
Yep, indeed.
It's all part of reading.
Indeed. I would suggest that go to Granta tonight, Granta website.
Granta?
Yes.
That's G-R?
G-R-A-N-T-A. And you'll find a short story called Let's Tell This Story Properly. It's hilarious.
Nice. See that advertising right there.
How many pages?
It's 15 pages.
Only?
Only.
There
Just
you go.
15 pages.
That's 5 bedtimes.
Indeed. Pick it up and read it. It's about Uganda. It's written in Ugandan English. And see where it takes you. So with these small bites that you were talking about, there are quite a lot of short stories. And look up Nipak's short stories as well. You know, because you've met us and you can then relate to us. And then, okay, by the time you realize you've read 7 pages, you're thinking, oh, I can actually read. You know, and then from there, pick on the bigger forms.
Are there forums, for example, in Uganda that can help people write or read?
Yes.
I know there's a writivism thing going on here.
Yes.
And how do Ugandans respond to such things?
First of all, can I say that Uganda has surprised me this time round. When I was growing up, there wasn't this kind of atmosphere of writers and of readers celebrating themselves. All I knew is that when I was in school, there were girls who were interested in reading. But outside school, I wasn't aware of a reading club or of a writing club.
Yeah.
However, when I came back to launch my novel, which was just on Wednesday, I was surprised that there's a large writing community. And apparently in secondary schools, they've started writing clubs. And there are all sorts of writing groups, and writers read. They recommend books to each other. They share books, So if you join these groups, they'll nurture you, they'll hold your hand through it.
Right. There's a Writivism Festival.
Absolutely, which is one of the reasons I'm here. The Writivism Festival was started by a couple of young Ugandans, so obviously there's initiative and there's a love for reading and writing. And they asked me to join the board of the festival, and this is of the initiative. And this is a festival where they bring in writers and readers together. This evening there's a poetry slam, which is a poetry reading, which is energetic, wonderful language.
Where is that?
It's going to be at the National Theatre.
That's spoken word?
Yes, spoken word.
Oh, because I hosted a poet called Noisy last week.
Well, there you go. I mean, Noisy sounds like spoken word.
Yeah.
Because it likes to be heard. And so this evening, there's that. This evening at 7, I believe, at the National Theatre, there's that. And the festival has been running. Jennifer's book launch was part of the festival.
Yes.
And there are other things happening. So Writivism, I think they have some writing workshops as part of the festival as well in the morning. So if you just go to the National Theatre, you find out. But also, I mean, one of the great writing initiatives that's been going on in Uganda for quite a while is FemWrite, which is a writing development group for women that's been running. I mean, has produced some of the writers that we know of from Uganda who've gone on to win the Kane Prize, etc. So I think you have these initiatives. It's just a question of finding them and connecting with them.
Right.
And for those who are interested, and then, as Jennifer says, they nurture you, they get you into reading. They have, some of these places have libraries, the books are donated to them, so you can actually go and borrow books and read and stuff like that.
Well, as we're wrapping this up,
Yes.
let's tell the story, right? It's a short story.
Yes, it
but,
is.
But you're launching a book.
I've finished launching it.
Yes. Tell us about that book.
The novel is called Chintu.
Chintu.
Yes. And it's talking about the history of Uganda. Because there have been no writing history here, I thought that I should start at the beginning. And at the beginning of Uganda is the story of Chintu, the first man. Chintu is our Adam and Nambi's our Eve.
Yeah.
So I thought I should start there. But I started in 1750 in the Buganda Kingdom. And then I take the reader through the kingdom and how it led into modern Uganda.
Awesome. Beautiful. Well, I must say that today is going to be the genesis of my reading culture. First of all, I'll go to granta.com and look for a book called Let's Tell the Story Properly.
Yes.
And 15 pages, yeah, I should do that. Sure, I should do that. But to all young writers and readers, I think it's important that we start today. I like what you said. It's the oil. It's literally your oil. We go and service our cars. You can only service your brain by reading. And so you can go to granta.com, pick up that story, start to read it.
Aikwe Parks, you can Google me. I have a topical story called Socks Ball. It's about football. And this is the World Cup season, right? Yeah, socks ball. Because we used to make balls out of socks to play with as kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why did they call it socks ball? All right.
So yeah, there's a story online about that. So if people are interested in football, they can go and find that. Just Google Socks Ball.
Awesome.
By Aikwe Parks.
Okay, so I have two things to read. Socks Ball and Let's Tell the Story
Properly.
I'll get back to you. Hopefully not in 2 years. All right, let's continue the discussion online. Facebook is open morning at NTV, and our Twitter handle is at morning at NTV. We'll try and get these guys before they head back to Ghana and the UK to answer some of those questions. You can go to the National Theatre and meet them and interact on how you can develop the reading and the writing culture in Uganda. Coming up, a sports update. England, Mabel's team are finally defeated, which is quite...
England is out?
No, technically they could still survive, but it's too mathematical to even consider.
Well, you might as well put us out of our misery.
So do you have something like a poem to, like, for England's misery?
For England's misery?
The mosquito one.
No.
Do the mosquito one.
The mosquito poem, do I even remember it? You know, my brain has to do... I have a poem about mangoes.
Do it.
The first caress was underwater, a testing of firmness beneath a cool, colorless flow. The second was a touch much bolder, a teasing squeeze before I used my lips. The bite was heaven. In an instant, there was sand between my toes, and sun rays were playing a game of dare with my eyes. Open up, open up. I couldn't. For the juice shaping my cheeks would no longer be tropical breeze, and the skin rubbing my hungry lips would lose the mystery of the dark. See, the paradise of a mango can only be experienced with the eyes closed.
See what you're missing.
Oh, well, as I.
You need to do one about matoke.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I'll probably have a line in there as I get the matoke into my mouth, and it's hot and hot. Wow, that's awesome. Well, let's take a breather. When we come back, we'll be talking the World Cup and Mabel's defeated England. Stay with us.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Why is Mombasa strategic to the countries of the East and Central Africa region? What makes the port of Mombasa the preferred port on the East African coastline? Channel has been dredged to a depth of -15 meters and widened to 300 meters at its narrowest point to enable the port accommodate larger vessels. These facilities make the port of Mombasa one of the busiest ports in the world for handling grain import aid cargoes for the World Food Programme. On 100 acres of reclaimed land is under construction with a total berth length of 900 meters. This will expand the port's container handling facilities to accommodate the latest generation of container ships and increase handling capacity by 1.2 million TEUs annually.
Health and Wellness
is brought to you by Caring Tech Strength, Panadol Advance. When minutes matter, take Panadol Advance. Panadol Advance is a fast pain reliever with Optizop technology. Caring Tech Strength. Panadol Advance.
Hey there, Mr. Krabs. Are you ready to party?
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it.
Wow! Hello, fellow motor enthusiastics.
Oh, Mr. Krabs, isn't there any way for us to return all of them back to normal?
Hey! How'd he do that? The Red Ranger's a bigger problem than I thought!
It's time to finish this thing up!
What can I do to make them love me again?
What are you drawing, Kitty?
morning, Julian. You are truly inspiring. Ow! Sponge pot.
Fantastic.
Oda, I no go stop to the singing. No problem. Keep singing. This singing will put you in trouble very soon. You won't believe it's the boy's father that inflicted such injury on him. Just because he stole 50 naira. 50 naira for that matter. That man should be arrested. Oh, how God. How I wish I could just see that man and give him a piece of money. Abigail, I don't care if you're chatting with Barack Obama. When you're at work, you learn how to detach yourself from that phone else to get you into trouble. Whatever. I mean, you should be happy that a pilot is asking your friend out.
My brother, I learned that 3 armed robbers tried to rob a man as he came out of the bank at the junction before the express. Don't try to be the hero.
You won't kill me. Do you know how long I've been waking you up quietly and you refuse to wake?
Now you can't interrupt someone. I'd like to pray with you, nurses, being the vessels that the Almighty God has been using to heal his people.
Okay. Can someone please talk to me? What is going on?
Who is she?
See, I hate cheating in my life. I hate cheating and nothing will make me have 50 kobo to that money I already get you.
On the next episode, brought to you by...
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
Mmese yatemu omulango gwa moto mmanyi omukazi w'ekyazanga omukadde.
NTV Corner Miles Ramiti
agenda gwedda
tubaletedde lutalo oli wakati wa Amarula family.
Amoto mujja watudde kulya mayirungi.
Ani mutuufu buli omu awanira omuliro.
N'amoto kyekusaba oddemu Amarula naye
bonna tubalese eno kulukta tusaawa 4:30
n'omugenzi Paddo bw'ato bwe yali.
Onzonzisa mazemu n'omusaayi
agenda kwatulira akakikaaliko
kona ontambuza ndi mugumu
twegatteko ng'owangula ssente n'ebirabo tomoni kasita obeera ng'oteebereza oluyimba tugenda obanga tuzanyira audio ejja kuba ogamba weewangulira ekirabo ebyekabi byonna ku NTV Corner ssaawa 4:30 Miles Ramiti twegatteko.
You can download movies at the lowest prices and never fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
Well, this morning, been inspired by the Mamango story, and Tuka, can you do a poem?
Why not?
Please.
You know, I did literature, so probably, yeah. The World Cup started on the 14th of June, so it's ending on the 13th of July. Spain are out, isn't that good enough?
They must rhyme.
They must rhyme, yeah.
Yeah, it's better when
June
they
and
rhyme.
July don't rhyme, because both start with the JU, isn't it? June, July. Yeah, so I thought they would rhyme.
Brian, nice to see you.
Good to see you, man.
What's up, man?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
And happy to be here when it's spiced up.
Yeah.
The lady, the beautiful lady. You know, I'm used to seeing those beautiful Brazilian ladies. Now we have one here. Thank you very much. Good to see you, man. Have you been okay? England? Sorry. Sorry.
What team do you support?
World Cup.
World Cup. No, I think you support Brazil earlier.
Looks like Brazil.
Was he talking about England or Italy? I didn't quite hear him.
No, clearly Italy has won a game. They are two different.
They're two different
Italy has
teams.
won a game, England haven't. So.
Well, this morning we're going to thrust you in lots of weekend action that will probably see some teams join Spain on the long flight back home. What happened yesterday?
To start with, of course, there were tricky games. Most importantly, the one of England, playing against Uruguay. Yeah, and both of them had lost their first games. Uruguay lost their first game to Costa Rica, shockingly. 3-1 it ended. England had lost to Italy, 2-1.
The pitch was bad, but we'll continue.
Yeah, it's okay, and it was hot. But then the rest of the guys were also playing on the same pitch, and of course in the same weather, so it's okay. But then there was a loss, and last night they had to win to give themselves a chance for the next round.
Would a draw have helped them? Because I saw them celebrating a lot when they scored the first
First
goal.
of all, the celebration was not about the team, but Wayne Rooney. That was his first World Cup goal. He's never scored in the World Cup. And that was his first World Cup goal. Ordinarily, they shouldn't have celebrated. You've equalized. As England, you've got to fall back, go get a winner, because that's what you expect from them. But Luis Suarez, we talk about football being a a team effort, 11 players. Sometimes one can be enough. Luis Suarez comes back from injury. He didn't play the first game, totally different from Uruguay. And he scored both goals to give Uruguay the 3 points when he scoring his first goal as an equalizer, but Uruguay with a beauty for the winner.
What a star goal, the second goal.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, but the English were poor at defending. And that is their strength, I think, in terms of heading the ball better. And of course, breaking, being tough in terms of being a very good defensive team. But unfortunately, yesterday, stuff didn't work.
Yeah.
And Steven Gerrard, poor header. The defense was in 3s and 4s over them. Luis Suarez ready to pounce. Well taken goal. Joe Hart completely beaten. The English need a miracle. They've got to win. And Mario Balotelli has given them a choice. If the Queen can promise a kiss, then Italy can beat up on Uruguay. Because if Italy beats up on Uruguay, then that means, that's if Italy win tonight. If Italy beats up on Uruguay and they finish it 9 points, the English beat up on Costa Rica with a good margin of goals, then they can be through to the last 16, but tough goal for them.
It's become
tough.
more tough.
It's tough, yeah.
But it's a young squad. I don't know if we have time to talk about the English squad. It's a young squad. And I thought, Wenger's gotten a lot of flack over the years for, believing in these people. And even Roy Hodgson says he's not about to leave his job. They probably won't fire him. Do we see in the next 4 years this team maturing and getting to the semi-finals at least?
Semi-finals?
Yeah, I mean,
in Qatar.
You can see how poor they are. Actually, next is Russia 2018.
Okay.
The thing is, you've got to stick to the ideologies that you start with. Can the English do? I don't know. Football never gets time of late.
The boy looks like 16.
Yeah, yeah. But okay, yeah, he's 16 because he's from England. They've got their data and stuff like that. If it's from Uganda, Ivory Coast coming or something, I'd clearly doubt because they. But anyways, I think they've got to stick to their ideology, which I felt they tried to change a little last night. They passed the ball better against Italy. Yesterday, you could see they were trying to rush a few things, go to the wings, and create 1 or 2 chances, which was not working for me. I always thought when they went to the World Cup with a young squad and leaving out a couple of experienced players, I thought there would be 2 probably performances most likely have. Either be very good or be very bad because of the inexperience of the players. But take away nothing from Uruguay. I don't think the English were that bad, but Uruguay was so determined to get the 3 points yesterday. Much better performance than they had against Costa Rica. And they had one of the best players coming back in Luis Suarez. I mean, what can you do about him? Steven Gerrard, Raheem Sterling and Sturridge know about
I know
Suarez.
we're talking a lot about England, but if I think I was a coach, I would not play Welbeck at all in any squad. I think he's a totally reckless young man.
I don't think he's reckless, but he gives them probably something going forward and also defensively. Probably that's why they play. In terms of talent, he might not be the best, but it gives them something on either side of the pitch in terms of defense and also the offense. Probably that's why I kind of
feel he's the kind of guy who just runs, and then someone should be ahead of him to tell him, dude, you're now going out of the pitch, turn.
Sometimes he has his good games. He's not the best of players, and that's the English don't have so many. So maybe Welbeck has got a chance there because he gives them that, like I've said. There are players who play for the coach. They seem to follow almost each and every instruction from the coach.
What do you envisage for Italy and Costa Rica? I'm a supporter of Italy, so I'm quite worried about England.
First of all, I don't think the Costa Ricans, of course, you have to think Italy go into this as favorites. Can the Costa Ricans replicate the form they had against Uruguay? I don't think so, but they can because anything is possible at this World Cup. Yeah. Given the performance they put in, they have a couple of young players that can run at those Italians who are a little older than them, and given the heat in Brazil, young players are always going to flourish more than the older ones. That heat can work you if you're running up and down the pitch. But the Italians are experienced at this stage. They know that if they win tonight, they're into the last 16, and I'm sure they would want to get the job done. They don't want to get into the mix of the last game, you know. Yeah. So I'm sure they would want to finish this off, and I just don't see Costa Rica as stopping them for me. Mario Balotelli is starting off on a good note. He seems to be in good spirits. Yeah. Andrea Pirlo was exceptional on the day. Marchisio, the guy who started, scored the first goal. They looked better defensively, I thought. Giorgio Chiellini, Bazzagli, and the rest of the guys in defense. So I think they should be good to beat Costa Rica today. But don't rule anything out, given the performance Costa Rica put up.
Against Uruguay.
Yeah, against Uruguay.
Okay, moving on to Africa. Ivory Coast lost yesterday to Colombia. I know they had a heavy load on their shoulders, and most of us are, thinking, why should even Africa appear in the World Cup if all they do is Majani? But tell us about the game. How good was Colombia?
First of all, Ghana were put in a very tough room. Any team, even if it was from Europe, they would find it hard to go through that. Just like the way you see USA, Portugal, we're not sure. Apart from Germany, the other guys you don't know. Algeria, I thought, was in quite a decent group, but they had Belgium in there, the upcoming stars of world football, the dark horses, dubbed the dark horses. Russia have been there, done that. So you thought there could be one or two problems. Even South Korea, they can have good days and they can run you ragged on their day. Then we had Cameroon. For me, they always missed. Bonuses here, bonuses there. Their best player goes and punches someone in the back and is sent off. Absolute rubbish, absolute stupidity for me. And then we have Ivory Coast. I don't think I've been impressed about an African team at the World Cup like I've been with Ivory Coast. Ghana did well in the 2010 World Cup. But listen, the manner and the attitude the Ivory Coast players have got is unbelievable. They are playing against guys, ordinary African teams probably fear going against. These guys actually have showed that we could be better teams. Look at the way they played against Colombia. They went 2-0 down and they thought most of African countries would be like, okay, we've given up. Probably let's work on damage limitations. They kept going. Actually, Javini scored the goal of the night for me. When he beat, I almost cleared the whole defense to score that goal. Colombia caught them on the counter because that was their system. And that's more respect from Ivory Coast, because by the time Colombia decide to play counter-attacking football, then that means they have a lot of respect for this Ivory Coast. And they have reason to. They have one of the best players, one of the best midfielders in the world in Yaya Toure, one of the best strikers in Didier Drogba. Salomon Kalou. Javini has had a great season at Roma. So they have so many accomplished players. And I've been very impressed with their attitude, the way they've gone about their business. They don't care who they're playing. They're like, you know what, whatever you have, you probably have better. Ivory Coast actually could be having more professional playing at top class more than even Colombia. But the Colombians know how to play football in South America. They're a very good team. They had a couple of good players on the day, and I think they deserve whatever they got out of there. But the fight that the Ivorians put up was unbelievable for me, exceptional. And I think they have a huge chance to qualify for the round of 16 because Japan and Greece drew in the late game this morning, or rather late last night. That means if the Ivorians can actually even get a draw,
they can go.
And Japan and Colombia beats up on Japan, then they will go through. But I don't think they're going to be thinking about that. The Ivorians know they can beat up on Greece and they will beat them up.
That's good, man.
Africa's got something
I'm trusting at least one team.
I think they will. I actually do believe Ivory Coast will qualify.
It should be a walkover for Argentina against Iran.
Ordinarily, you would think so. But will it be, given the performance against Bosnia-Herzegovina? I don't think so. Messi looked out of sorts, especially in the first half. He was trying too hard. Sergio Aguero was non-existent. They brought in Gonzalo Higuain. Not much was done. Angel Di Maria, who I thought the Argentines need to trust him more because he can be a tough player to play against for the opponents. And you'll have to think, ordinarily it will be easy, but the Iranians can decide to come and defend just like they did against Nigeria. The problem here is there's a lot of firepower to play to defend against. Can you stop Sergio Aguero, Lionel Messi, Angel Di Maria, Gonzalo Higuain, and a couple of other guys who are in there in that Argentine team? It could be tough. It might not be convincing, might not be a fatigue, but I think the Argentines should be able to qualify by beating Bosnia-Herzegovina. By beating Iran. Yeah, all they have is Carlos Queiroz, who's been at United, and maybe Portugal someone. The rest, there's little they can offer for world football, but they have one probably for Asian football. But this is the biggest stage of world football.
Wow.
Okay, during the week we saw Ronaldo hop off during a training. Now they face United States that probably people around the world don't give them as much credit, including me. What do you think will happen?
Don't they give credit?
To the US. They don't give credit. They don't look at them as a power.
People, they are not, of course, power country. Okay, they're a strong country. They're United States, baby. So they say, actually, their coach came out and said it's unrealistic for people to ask them to win the World Cup. And dudes in the US said, what's the Fox talking about?
Come on, man.
This is the USA. Are you kidding me? but of course they cannot. I mean, the World Cup is way ahead of them for me, I think. But they're a very good tournament team.
But they're
very
always
good tournament team. They always get to the round of 16 quarterfinals. Somehow, they manage to go through. So they beat up on Ghana already. Maybe a draw actually against Portugal could take them through. Is Ronaldo fit enough? There's so many questions. There's a doctor saying Ronaldo should not put his career on the line by playing. seriously, he should not play. But Ronaldo, when it comes to his nation, he knows he's the biggest star. He knows the world carries him. He knows that every focus will be on to him. He would love to show something for Portugal. I don't see Ronaldo missing. He will be fit to play against the USA. It's going to be a tough game for Portugal.
Right. Yeah, man, if you're an American, you know, probably, you know, you should, you know, just chilling out and y'all gonna get beat. All right. We'll catch up more of that action. Brian Tuka will be coming back on Monday. Sports bar 10:30 p.m. from Club Souk. And Isma will join the crew at 1:30 p.m. later today for Omomoli, and Lumansi and Alan will also be there. And of course, whatever team you support, just make sure you're safe though. Yeah? Make sure you're safe. Whatever place you choose to watch the game from, if they don't have a scanner.
If you get there and they don't check, you don't watch.
Don't watch.
Go home. Just go somewhere else, yeah. In fact, even home, if they don't check, you don't watch. Chase the wife. Or rather, the wife chase the husband. For the kids, you
Brian,
need to check.
Nice to see you. Let's go for the African proverb. Well, this morning, I think the witch doctor of Ghana has
he didn't work. He said Ronaldo won't play, but he played. Maybe even the one of Japan. Because Kaga was given a communal bath, but they drew goals. So.
The person who forgives gains victory in the dispute.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's that simple. There's no need to keep anger. There's no need to keep hatred. There's no need to hate people. Just move on.
I don't like Suarez though. The person who forgives does what? Gains?
You don't.
Well, he gains in that dispute. And he's now the star.
I don't like him for what he did 4 years ago. I still have that grudge.
Now he's punishing your team.
Suarez against the African team.
He's happier. No, he did nothing.
He did.
He was defending his country. You got a penalty. Take it. And so,
maybe I had better release him.
Asamoah Gyan will never take a penalty again because before the mom died, she said, I never want to see you take penalties. So in respect, he died. But I think it's better. Having peace of mind is one of the most important things. Yeah. And because if you don't forgive, then you never be peaceful. You're always angry at someone out there or something.
Yeah,
and I think it's a sign of, being gentle and decency. Everyone will be saying, I got respect for that dude.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. God game.
I hope Obama acquire visa. All right, we'll catch you tomorrow. Actually, Monday. It's going to be an awesome weekend. You can catch the rest of the shows here. Corner later with Mairo Ziramiti, and The Beat later, and life stories on Sunday. Beautiful, powerful stories. And of course, catch the crew, our team of dedicated news anchors and the whole news team that will make sure you're updated 24/7. From us and the whole crew here, Msajja Wakabaka Tito and producer of the week, the baddest.
There's Ting, this is Ragamuffin Master.
Ragamuffin Master. Rose, who is our director, and down at the studio, Charles and Manmeet. We want to say thank you so much for loving us. Bye-bye.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
NTV, turning on your world.
33% of women are in local government councils, and there are high girl-child dropout rates in schools. Women don't benefit from their labor in the agriculture sector. Women and equal opportunities in Uganda. Let us discuss in a live talk show this Saturday at 5 p.m.
On the next episode, brought to you by...
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
T-Nation.
Make you. So first and most important, how was the World Championship?
It was a really good experience. To win, it was overwhelming, and it was just a great experience to win, and I really enjoyed it.
The next thing is going to be university for sure. I'm going to Manipal University in India.
It's really good. We're finally done. I'm just so happy. The journey has been long, honestly, from the first day of school.
T-Nation.
You can download movies at the lowest prices another fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
Cindy Mwana. Yesu mfano wewe. Oh Yesu wewe nyo. Oh Mena muramu. Tayari atasanira. Yesu wewe. Yesu mfano wewe. Yesu mfano wewe. Wewe mukama. Oh Mena muramu nage. Atasanira. Yesu wewe. Oba ngokoye ngowende monesubi ngotambula tolina kigendererwa mu bulamu ne munsi jukira nti Yesu yesubira obulokozi bwaffe mulindirire wali talikuleka. Yesu oh engala engala omukono webale. Oh nalisesanira sanira. Yesu mukono webale. Yesu mukono webale. Webale mukama. Nalisesanire atasanira.
Ngenda nembuuza biriba bitya biriba bitya ngenda nembuuza alibani Pastor Haji Faza mulainemu abasamiza ababbi malaya fina tugende Museveni besije otuno kulainemu Sadamu Gaddafi Obama fina tugende abeyo ogenda ku mikolo egy'abanene ze ne bannange ne twesunga ogenda okuyimbira abakulu kyokka kakaadi ke bampa nakeerabira waffe mu nnyumba bajasi bawali tebazannya kata batulemesa emikolo batupakingisa ebbali mbu baagala kulaba ku kaadi olijjo wanikye yabaŋŋamba nti jjayo feesi yo bagirabe pasita bugembe wanali munene ani atakumanyi wano mu kibuga nange kye nakola nenzijayo simayire ennene bakuba omwenda bajasi bawali tebazannya pasita bugembe tukulabye leeta ne kaadi yo tugirabe munda tebakubayo atumanyi kata batulemesa ekimere olwonyumiza abaana naliko mu State House Entebbe byali bitya jjajja nakoma ku geeti ne banziza ngenda ne mbuuza biriba bitya biriba bitya alibani alituka Museveni besije otuno ku line emu lukwago Jennifer Musisi fena tugende zenesunga kulaba katemba abantu bakuno abatematira basiba besamba ne beelabira kitaffe yagamba nti nno mwagalane mubeere emirembe mu duniya babivaako dda badda mu fujjo babivaako dda ne beerabira okufuna kaadi biwoobe gali bamaziga ku miryango gy'eggulu temwesunga bajja n'ensimbi n'amannya amanene balijja ne ssente n'obujulizi obunene yenze yazimba ekkanisa eryewaffe Masaka nze yayamba eggwanga mbeegayiridde mu nnyambe taata laba weerabira okufuna kaadi mama laba duka weefunire kaadi ku miryango gy'eggulu tewazannya musululu moja kila muntu
Sora kuona abana mukuru nzanzira mukuru
sagala kenda mukeyena webuze cyandoko sati sagala kenda amba mbobi waini munywanyi wangeyo sagala kenda mukeyena chechindeta mbidula ya mweyo sagala kenda echingano kunywako kengako sagala kenda wakanabuza pademani mama Jenetina muzeyi mugambe life kamini jukira ku line emu muzeyi kirumira mugaga munange muzeyi kayula abajasi mubagambe wama bebe kulu munywanyi wangeyo kyekindeta mbidula byamweyo Brian Dumba muganda wange ngambira be Masaka mu kyalo bavuma abalokole ku kyalo kyamweyo era weefunire kaadi geyeneyo kyasagaja watannategeera eno kaadi gye ŋŋamba Yesu yennyini akonkona muggulire gula wayingire